Now, I would like to call upon someone, I think those who are on the net, the very popular netizens, Mr. Vincent Wijeysingha.
Thank you very much. I've been asked to do a sound check. Can you hear me right at the back? Okay. Very good. As Mrs. Chong Aruldo said, we are joined together by a common past. And I think here we are joined together by our common aspirations for the future. Now, firstly, let me apologize that we are comfortable here under the awning and that you have to face the rain. And secondly, this is much better than an election rally because there's no police barrier. Nice to see our fellow Singaporeans so close up here. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, 2 days ago the SDP published its alternative population paper. We made 6 recommendations that we hope are comprehensive and coherent and backed up by international research. Our objective is not to target a population figure, but to create the conditions, both economic and social, where we can achieve a sustainable reduction in our population over a manageable period of time. But today I'm not going to speak on that. I offer it for your consideration. It's on our website. Please have a look. Please feedback to us. Today I join you in this historic park on this historic occasion. I have come to join you and to share this platform with these very distinguished speakers simply because the white paper attacks us in our deepest identities. Not because of that 6.9 number. Not because of the fact that there was very little research to underpin the thinking of the paper. Not even because all the speeches in Parliament on the PAP side did not even begin to hint at an understanding of what it means to be a Singaporean in 2013. But because the white paper revealed 2 things. One, that the government surely does not understand what it means to be an ordinary Singaporean. And 2, that it does not seem to care. Now, there have been many reasons offered for the white paper. Some say it's for GDP, some say it's to shore up the flagging electoral support of the PAP. Others say that the PAP is no longer capable of reimagining our economy. And still others say that true leadership has left the party. Now, there may be some truth in all of those statements. But the most primary reason why the population paper and policy in general affected us so deeply is contained in our national pledge that we said earlier, where our children make a commitment every day to happiness, prosperity, and progress. In the first 150 years of our history, our ancestors came to these shores in search of a better life for themselves and for their children and their grandchildren. They fled from poverty, they fled from war and famine, and they fled from destruction in their own countries. Why? Because it is the instinct of every human being, in fact of any being, to maximize his well-being. And our well-being is contained in 3 B's: to be safe, to belong, and to be fed and clothed. And in an immigrant society like ours, the memory of war, the memory of poverty, and the memory of famine is so deeply bred into our bones and our blood and our sinews that we have built for ourselves through phenomenal hard work a country worth living in, a home we wouldn't have to flee from, a country at peace with itself, even if sometimes we disagree with our government and disagree with our neighbors. And we have arrived in these last 20 years as a society able to look after itself, able to articulate the deepest wishes for our children and their children. But even as we stepped into that new world, even as we settled into a better life, far away from the privations and punishments that brought us from our native lands, we are suddenly faced with a government which tells us that what we have fought for, what we have worked for, is not enough.
Bullshit!
And that we have become lazy and complacent.
Whoa!
And that we are forgetful of the hard times. Now, it seems to me bizarre that they should not know that it is precisely to forget the hard times that we have built this country that we have built. Now, at this stage, let me say something about the guest workers who live in our country. Many of us have reacted angrily to the population policy, and we have directed our anger at our foreign brothers and sisters. This is wrong. Foreigners are our fellow human beings, and they deserve our respect and our friendship. To oppose the government's population policy, which is our right and our duty, we must direct our dissatisfaction at the government.
Yes!
But to the foreign residents in our midst, we must extend our traditional Asian hospitality. I lived abroad once upon a time. I know what xenophobia feels like. Let us not reduce our rightful anger to xenophobia. Let us be neighbors to our foreign friends. And at the same time, and wholeheartedly, let us oppose the government's population policy that is so badly considered and so poorly managed. My friends, the fear of being displaced in our own homes is as old as humanity itself. From the time when we took shelter in caves from the wild animals and the elements, we have learnt that the most valuable treasure is the treasure called home. But each day as we step out into our daily lives, we feel we are stepping into an alienation and apathy that makes our children wonder whether there is anything valuable left on our island. And we feel betrayed that those we trusted to govern us, those to whom we surrendered our rights in return for their good government, now appear to have closed their ears against our apprehension, against our worries, against our fears. And they have said that if we are not willing, they will put spurs in our sides. And if we are still not willing, they will replace us with those who are. This is why we have come here this afternoon Not because we hate foreigners. How can we? At some time in our history, all of us were foreigners on this land. But because we worry for the soul of our country, and because we grieve for the 10 years of a dissolute population policy that believes you can squander the loyalty of your people, that believes you can cast away the hard-won pride we built for ourselves and our families and our neighbors, and that you can give it away free of charge, what our parents and our grandparents built. This is not what we want. It is the task of our generation to ensure that our home continues to be safe and secure and happy for all our people. That the national pledge continues to be meaningful. And we want the government to know that this is what we want. And we want the government to put the vast resources that are at their disposal at the service of us, the people. Because we are not machines, and our neighborhoods are not factories, and our island is not a hotel. It is our home, where we bring up our children, where we care for our grandparents, and when we share the experience of being human with our friends and our neighbors. You came here today to say this loudly and clearly and urgently to our government. And I humbly join my voice to yours so that the volume will be enough to reach Parliament and reach the Istana Annex. So that in 20 years from now, our hopes and our dreams will not be just memories in our photo albums. And we cannot fail. We cannot. And we must not. We owe it to our children who depend on us. We owe it to our ancestors who built this land. Like Hong Lim, whose name has now become synonymous with our liberty. And if we throw away the right to speak cogently and bravely to our government, then we will not be worth the respect we hope from our children. Go to your Meet the People sessions, write on your Facebook, email the ministers, hold forums and events such as these, join and form organizations to campaign, to do research, donate your spare cash to resources, to causes that fight for a better Singapore. And join the SDP. But also, I see you came here, so I'm going to finish very quickly. We must also support those organizations that work with our migrant workers. The Humanitarian Organization for Migration Economics, Transient Workers Count 2, Health Serve. They do good work with our migrant brothers and sisters who struggle under our system. Do not set yourselves apart from our foreign guests. Change your mindset. It is not they who steal our jobs and lower our wages. It is a policy framework that has forgotten that Singaporeans are and must be the first and last object of policy. Use every means at your disposal. Populate civil society, my friends. That space that is ours. And there speak loudly to our government so that they will listen. Don't walk away from this park and wring your hands and say, what can I do? It is the task of our generation. Tell the PM that he governs in our interests, not in spite of them. That he governs by our permission. And when he sends these young men off to national service, that they will know what they are training to defend. Because ultimately, they are not defending GDP growth, important though it is, but they are defending the peace, prosperity, and progress that our parents and their parents helped to build. Thank you.
All right, that was Mr. Vincent Wijeysingha.